Have you been searching for the perfect bakery-style blueberry muffin that's moist, delicious, and full of natural flavor? You're in luck, because today's recipe is it. Hey, you're watching Preppy Kitchen, where I, John Cannell, teach you how to make delicious homemade dishes to share with your family and friends. These blueberry muffins will be ready before you know it, so let's get started. First off, set that oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. We want it nice and toasty, and this recipe whips up in a snap, as I said earlier. Okay. Add those dry ingredients into a big bowl, starting with 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. That's 300 grams if you're counting. 3/4 teaspoon of salt. In you go. You can add a little bit more or a little bit less, depending on what you like. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. In you go. Give it a whisk and set it aside. Now it's time for those wet ingredients. For the wet ingredients, I'm adding 1 cup or 240 milliliters of whole milk into a bowl, room temperature if you can. 3/4 cup of regular old granulated sugar, that's 150 grams. A teaspoon of vanilla, which is totally optional. You don't have to, but why say no? 1/4 cup of melted butter. 1/4 cup of sour cream. I love sour cream in muffins. And everything, it's a delicious ingredient. If you don't have sour cream around, you can totally use regular whole milk yogurt. In addition to that 1/4 cup of butter, I'm also using 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. You can use any mild oil you like. I have come around and started using oil in my cupcakes and muffins because it keeps them moist. Butter is an amazing ingredient. However, if it gets cold, it's kind of hard. So it's always best warm, and some people like their blueberry muffins room temperature. 2 eggs, room temperature once again. We did almost all of the wet ingredients, but there's one last thing to talk about, and that's the lemon. I think lemon and blueberry go hand in hand, but if you're anti-lemon, just use 1/4 cup of milk instead of the 1/4 cup of lemon juice that I just added. And you can skip the lemon zest. I'm adding in the zest of almost a whole lemon. It's totally to taste though, so if you're a lemonaholic like me, add the whole lemon zest in, and if you're not, skip it all together. Whisk, 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 whisk. Okay, we're almost done. There's one thing to talk about, and that's the blueberries. Hello. Okay, so I have, this is about 7 3/4 ounces of fresh blueberries. You could use 6 ounces. You could use all the way up to 8. It's totally up to you. And if you can't get delicious fresh blueberries, use frozen blueberries instead. Just sub in frozen blueberries. Don't thaw them or anything. You'll increase the bake time just a little bit. You keep your eye on that oven. Fresh blueberries, we do want to toss them in a little bit of flour just to help them not sink so much. So take about a tablespoon of the dry mixture, sprinkle it over the blueberries, and just toss them around a little bit. That's all you're doing. No big deal. Save that for last, and now let's combine the wet and the dry. Add that wet to the dry. Get it all out. And now let's mix it up. You could use a spatula like I am, or go ahead and do the whole whisk thing. We're gonna be very gentle with this batter. Not because we have to, but because we're nice. Okay, mix, mix, mix. And once you see it come together, it's time to add those blueberries in there. So just plop them in and just gently fold them in. I think the most iconic movie scene about blueberry muffins is from Casino. You can let me know in the comments if you remember the scene, but it just involves the uneven distribution of blueberries in muffins. It's very important that everyone gets a lot of blueberries. So you could even reserve a couple and pop them on top just for show. That looks totally good to me. I'm gonna get my muffin tin out and move on to the next step. I'm using a large ice cream scoop to get all this batter in here, and I'm gonna fill them almost all the way up. We want a nice bakery style blueberry top, which is kind of like up and out, not the flat cupcake that I usually prefer personally. So in you go. And if you want, you could totally finish these off with a streusel topping. I might add a little bit of sugar on at the last moment. Thinking about it. Ooh, that's a good one. If you thought there was gonna be a 12th blueberry muffin in there, you're wrong. It was a total fake out. I'm gonna fill this up halfway with water, and when it goes into the oven, it'll be a little bit steamy and a happy environment for the muffins to live in. They won't get too dry. Popping in a couple blueberries on top, just like a chocolate chip in a chocolate chip cookie where you add some chocolate chips on top just before popping them into the oven. A couple of blueberries on the ones that look naked will make everything seem fine. Do you want me to like sprinkle something on top of this?
Didn't you do that with like one of the middle ones?
No. Someone doesn't know how to bake. We have a special request for some streusel topping on top of half of these, so I will oblige that mystery person's request and make it happen. It's so easy and actually pretty fun too. So set these aside for just a couple minutes and let's make that streusel up. Okay, a super quick streusel topping. Half a cup of sugar. You could use brown sugar, but for this, I want it to be a little bit lighter and brighter. Half a cup of flour. Normally I'd measure it out with the scale, but not today. Whisk it up with your finger. And then use your clean hands to add in 1/4 cup of butter. And we're just gonna mash it up with our fingers. You could also do this with melted butter, but I like the way it comes out with cold butter better. So you're gonna mix it up with your hands until you have a crumbly mixture. It's a crumble topping, AKA a streusel topping, and it gives everything a nice finish. I'm gonna include this as an option in the blog post, but I think a traditional blueberry muffin would just be plain. You can let me know in the comments if you prefer a crumb topping or if you like it just plain or maybe with a sprinkle of sugar. Okay, my mixture is becoming nice and crumbly. I like to finish off by making a huge clump and then breaking it up into smaller pieces to give me some nice big crumbles. Slide that over here. This was enough crumble, by the way, for the entire recipe, not for half because someone asked for it. Get some crumbles, just place them on top. All of a sudden I feel like an artist placing the last brush stroke on a painting, but really just plop them on. Ready for the oven, 400 degrees for about 20 minutes until they're puffed up and golden. You will notice what's happening. You can use a skewer or your finger to either pat the top and see if it bounces back or comes out clean if you're using a skewer. This moist, melt in your mouth muffin is calling my name, but if you like this recipe, check out my breakfast playlist. Pancakes, muffins, the works, all the delicious stuff that you want for breakfast. But first, it's time for a bite. Look at this. Do you see that? Full of blueberries, just like it should be. That's really nice. It's perfectly sweet. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.